Hey, this is Glendon, founder of Hustlers Kung Fu, all about making that money without a job. Today, we're going to talk about why it's so hard to start a successful business. There are many, many components to this whole dilemma, and a lot of it has to do with people who are smart. Let me give you an example. This is just something I've been watching on my Facebook page or Facebook for the last 6 weeks, 6 weeks. But for those of you who want to be part of the new experience and save $450, get the Never Broke Action Pack. It's below. I'm starting a new e-commerce platform training course, and everyone that buys the Never Broke Action Pack will get $450 off, even though the Never Broke Action Pack only costs $150. So with that, let's jump deep into it. I've been doing a lot of research lately, talking to people, setting certain things up, and I've noticed that there are many, many smart people who are broke, who are just broke. And I looked at this thing and I was on a quorum and I saw this lady and she had put this thing, and it's like, I have a high Q of 159. I believe that's genius level. That's a very high IQ, but she said these words, I'm poor. And I started to think about that. I was like, I don't consider myself a genius, but I'm not poor. And I started to really, really think about this, and all of these dots and things started connected because there's this person who's on Facebook who has a business, and they talk about all the money they make, and they were offering to train people, and people poke fun at this person because every time they ask a question, they'll hit him back with like, I'll tell you for 5,000, right? And this person has put out at times that they were broke, or that their business wasn't really doing as well as one would assume for the level of hubris. And I started to think about it. There's a lot of smart people out there who are failing. And then it made me examine why they're failing. And then that led me to go to, are they really smart? See, that's a whole bunch of analysis that I went through because, hold on, adjust my light here. I don't know, for some reason, let's see. Here we go. It was just kind of blowing my mind. It was just blowing my mind on the number of people who, from our standards, are what one would consider smart. Our standards, what we believe to be smart, what we believe to be the epitome of high intelligence. And I started to think about that, and I started to push back on those definitions and really, really examine some things. Now, a lot of this stuff isn't your fault. I know everyone loves to hear that, but in this case, it's really true, because I've been thinking about this, and as someone who has a media company and as someone who trains and teaches people, one of the questions I have is, why does this student perform much better than this other student? And that was a lot of answers there, because your educational curriculum in high school or elementary school or any of these things is geared to the slowest performer. So when you're in your first grade class, that curriculum was designed for the slowest performers. That's why the smart kids got really bored, but also the smart kids got dumb. I'll explain that in a minute. So you're going through this whole process that is teaching you not to excel. It's teaching you not to be the brightest performer, because what happens is shame is taught. Failure is taught to be a bad thing. Everything that's an antithesis of starting a business, right? So you have all of this stuff going on, and The smart kids get dumb because your environment is a heavy, heavy component to your level of success. It's a huge, huge thing. So let's see. We got folks up here this morning. Let's see what's in the chat room. David, I like this already. I can tell this is going to be a good one. Oh, I'm just getting warmed up. SF basketball. My wife said no work on vacation. Had to sneak off on this one. Couldn't help if I missed the last 5 streams. Yeah, you know, it's kind of funny you say that. I was supposed to be off because I was going to take off from the 15th to January the 5th, and I took a few days off and I got bored, so it just didn't really make any sense. But I have someone saying, well, maybe you should just take 2 weeks off, and to do what? To lay around? I mean, I pretty much get to do what I want to do most days, so I didn't really see the need. 3 days and that was good. All right, morning, Diana. Sounds of the cipher. What's up? What's up, Tom? Never broke action pack. What's up, Jonathan? Top of the morning. What's up, Cheatable? What's up? H Money. I'm glad I saw you online. Welcome, Diana Thompson. Let's see. What's this? Oh, Diana's taking responsibility. I love that. Irvin, what's up? Guilt. What's up, Ronnie? What's up, Benjamin? CJ Lee, you mentioned a few years ago. Wow, people paying attention. I mentioned about being depository smart makes for great Jeopardy contests at the best. You hit on something that I'm going to get into. Going back with the lady on quorum. What's up, Monica? What's up, Dee? What's up, Camilla? What's up, Canna? Carlton? Good morning, Mommy Motivations. Just my cash out. What's up, M Stacks? Always a pleasure. What's up, Marcos? What's going on? Okay, let's jump into it. Let's kind of go back up here to CJ Lee. He's pushing me a little bit because we're going to go a little deep in this. The lady on quorum, because you know, people put their real names on quorum. That's why it's a good place, and people tend to, even when they have conflict, they tend to be more respectful. So I was able to find her. Big IQ, where she's poor, and this kind of goes back to depository smarts because we label. I don't know the criteria that is needed to make certain. I've never taken an IQ test. I really don't care because I've learned in many aspects of my life that results are the greatest thing ever. I don't care who you are, where you are. If you can get results, you can win. You know, I look her up and I see, you know, she's got like a little house in Iowa. And she's really, really, quote, depository smart. She can, you know, probably a wonderful person to talk to, probably great liberal arts degree and all this other stuff, but she's poor. And I really, really like started to look at all this other stuff and it hit me. You have many people who, going once again back to school, was designed for the slowest performer. So you're not really being pushed unless you get into a different school, a private school, where they're just like, we don't play that. Well, everybody in the school is the top performer. You just don't get challenged. And it also goes back to environments. I posted on my Facebook page that 70% of the people who are born poor remain poor until they die. 70% of people in the United States of America, the country with the greatest level of opportunities and access in the world. Now, why is that? I have transcended. I had to actually have a real honest conversation with myself because many people, when they tell you their hero story and all this other stuff, they tell you the good parts. And in my life, my grandmother, who actually had a degree, way back when, had a degree, who was pretty much my stay-at-home parent until she passed on, and I was 11. So I had a, an educated person, when degrees really mattered, teach me how to read before I went to school. So even though we defaulted into damn near abject poverty after that point. I really didn't grow up originally poor. There were certain circumstances where things went south, but I grew up being groomed and educated by someone who was educated, who was dedicated to my well-being, who looked after me, and I spent a lot of time. I remember, and this is a jacked up story. My grandmother unfortunately used to smoke, which I think is one of the reasons that she left early. But I started with smoking, and she smoked these Bel Air cigarettes, white box, blue. And I was like, Grandma, I want to be like you. I want to smoke. So she lit one up, right? Gave it to me. I took a drag. I'm rolling around in the yard, coughing, wheezing, tears coming out of my eyes, right? I've never smoked anything since. So she was a good teacher because maybe she didn't want me to learn how to smoke. So she like gave it to me raw. But I didn't have that kind of upbringing. And I was just wondering if those things have made the difference, because I do have siblings who not even close. And they have more formal education than I do, but I don't think that they got, I think your most important education is from when you're an infant to about 10. I think that shapes so much, which would explain the 70%, because in that 70%, and I'm going to give you some classifications of why it's so hard for so many people to start this business is, excuse me, they were never allowed to fail as a kid, or they got too much harsh upbringing. You know, as an infant to around 10, you should get a lot of encouragement. You should get like, you can do that. You can do that. You should have a lot of support, because that's going to set or cast a die for your future. And when you get these dysfunctional households and you get these dysfunctional environments, you know, I've got a client right now who pretty much, if her family life was different, she probably would be a billionaire. I'm not joking. I'm just not joking. You know, she's a millionaire, but it's those critical elements. So what we got in here? Hold on. Y'all are rolling hard on these comments. Let's see. Irvin Thomas. So is homeschool better than? Debatable. Because once again, who's doing the schooling? What's the environment? If you have a poor person with a poverty mindset, with a lot of dysfunction teaching you at home, your legacy is going to be more poverty. So it really depends. What's up, D Wilson? First live, King Flip. I love Quora. Quora, there's a lot of, you can make money just reading Quora. Ronnie, I got a wife, 3 kids, making good income, but I cannot work for other people anymore, even though I'm on the road doing HVAC and they treat me well. Maybe I'm just wired different. You just got dissatisfied. Irvin Thomas, financial IQ. I don't know about that. D Hill, what's up? King Flip, once people start telling me their IQ, I stop listening. I tell you, let's say, tell me what you're doing. Nothing else is matter. Max Bugatti, Depository Smart, Ronnie Q, that's awesome. Church, morning people. I got an hour drive to my last customer's phone. Max, no, I didn't have a silver spoon. I had a intellectual spoon. I would say that. My grandma's really smart. I mean, really, really smart for real. King Flip, I definitely have to say my family life is the only lyrics things that ever slows me down on my journey. I can work 48 hours straight, but if there's trouble at home, I get derailed. And home environment is just very, very important, and many people just don't want to admit that. Just my cash. My great uncle pulled me. I'll let you try my cig. Oh man, it was horrible. It was terrible. Moonlighter School is designed to make us good factory workers. Yep. All right. So you have these environments, right, where you are out there thinking that you have some social expectations too. This tribalism, this is another reason people remain poor. And this is why it's so hard for them to start a business, is if you want more out of life, people will actually say you're greedy. You should be happy just to do what you're doing. You should be happy. You should be happy. I mean, just like This is some of the stuff that I got from someone I dated who grew up in a poverty mindset, somewhat of a ghetto mindset, that I should be happy. And she often tried to have me stop working so hard. You work too hard. You need to take breaks. You need to go outside. And I'm sitting there like, what the fuck is your problem? I'm good. You're the one that come home from your job exhausted where you pass out for 2 hours. What are you talking about? And then I didn't understand at the time, like I understand now, that environment and tribalism, because she was trying to pull me around to her way of thinking so she can understand me, because I was this huge enigma. Dude, I don't really work that much, drive a BMW, always have money, always happy. She couldn't really, she couldn't fathom that for some reason. So it became very interesting. And part of that tribalism is rooted in, and this is something you'll hear. All right, I'm not trying to step on anybody's parade here, but you'll hear this, that family is the most important thing. Okay, everyone has family. Bill Gates is got family. Do you think if Bill Gates was running home for every family emergency, and mind it, he's still married, that he would have led Microsoft to what it is today? You know, Steve Jobs was a known asshole in that regard. So to parse this correctly, you can become a world leader without family, but you can't become successful if you have a jacked up family that pulls your time. And so that's very controversial. That's very controversial because you have, and that's part of the tribalism, because for poor people, that's all you do have is family. That's it. That's it. You don't have any money, so your wealth is in your family. And you're taught that you should put them before you put money making or wealth building activities. But here's the rub. What is one of the main reasons that families implode? Lack of money. But you're taught that money is bad. That's the craziest thing. So many people are taught that money is bad. So navigating this, and this is another reason that is so. All right. Let's see. Sound is back. All right. Just wait. It's like a 30-second delay. I don't know what the hell happened. I thought I was good to go. Technical difficulties. So just go on to it. Getting back to where your subtitles. We don't have subtitles. We don't do subtitles here. Let's see. All right. Hold on a second. I need to do a little. Yeah. That was wow. Don't know where it dropped. Well, like, let's see. That's kind of funny. All right, but I'll go back because I don't know where it stopped. And I'm talking about I had a friend whose parents were both entrepreneurs, and he went to them a long time ago and said, I didn't want to go to school. They were cool because they were both entrepreneurs and they understood how money really, really worked. So it gets to be really interesting. But let's get into the educational thing and the family thing and this stuff, because typically what happens is, oh man, that's pretty funny. Okay, I have a delay on what I'm watching. Okay, because y'all guys should have sound. It should be back. But typically it starts with what you're taught, which is important. And also the other day I put on my Facebook page about why there's a lot of people who are not going to go on a date in 2017. Like 80% of singles are not going to go on a date. And this is something I saw a long time ago, that I would meet people. And this was years and years ago. And they're talking about, yeah, this was, I hadn't been on a date in a year or two. We don't value those type of relationships anymore because many people have figured out that they can be okay without those things. Plus, having a relationship is give and take. There's a compromise, and a lot of people don't want to compromise. And we live in a world that you can really, I think it's short-sighted, because typically if you don't build the family network, if you don't build that thing, you're going to get old. And it's very messed up to say, but we don't value older people in our society. We just don't. So you go ahead and you live your life and you don't build for the future in terms of family legacy, building their family. You'll be an old person by yourself. I see that that's going to be a huge business model. There's going to be a lot of services for those people because that's where we're heading. But typically, for many people starting the business, and why so many people fail is, and this is why personal development is such a strong and important part of people becoming successful with their business, is you were born to fail. You were born into a system that does not help you understand true business success. It's a crazy, crazy thing. So typically, if you never understand that, and you go out and you work and you work and you work, or you'll buy this course and you'll work and it just doesn't work out, you just didn't get many of the tools that you need to become successful with a business. There's a lot of stuff you just didn't get, and it gets to be very interesting. Now, let's talk about how to overcome that stuff. First thing is, if you're going to become an entrepreneur and you have no entrepreneurs in your family, stop talking to them about your business. Don't bring it up. You will also find that you're going to become, you and your friends and families, you're not going to have a lot of things on the professional level to talk about. You can talk about sports, you can talk about family, you can go out and have a good time, you can take vacations together, but keep the business and the money conversations out of your family life, because they're not going to understand you. You'll be talking about buying a building, they'll be talking about getting a job promotion, and you can sit back and go, great, man, congratulations. And realize that if you pull out that, hey, I just did, $1 million deal, and they just put out, I just got a promotion, and they're not equal, all of a sudden you become elitist, or you're bragging, even though you're just describing your walk of life in the same manner that they are. But because what you did seems to be more significant, unless your peers are doing similar things, you're going to have issues as well. Just talking about that. Paul Steven, yep, success is not taught anywhere in schools. No, it's not. Does that mean what do you mean, D. Wilson? Joshua Hill, I'm gradually learning that. They just won't understand. It's just pointless to talk to them. Rules for Rebels, very good point. My girlfriend yells at me for spending money to make money, but she doesn't have any comprehension how business works. Oh man, that makes me think of someone I used to date who is like, oh God. You got to kind of keep them out of it, because then here's something else, going the rules to rebels thing. When you start explaining stuff and how much money you spend, and if you're in a romantic relationships with somebody, your security is their security. And when they see, quote, risk, they get scared. They start to try to help you manage the risk. They try to help you reduce the risk. They start coming up with all of these solutions that are steeped in fear and uncertainty, so they can get back to being comfortable. So that's one of the things I learned a long time ago, was I kept anyone I was dating, seriously, I wouldn't even hire them part-time. I just kept them out of my business. Wouldn't hire them, wouldn't have them do anything. Most of the people that I've dated have no clue to the intricate aspects of business, that I just kept them out of it. It's just like, hey, you're my romantic partner. That's it. You don't need this other stuff. And I recommend that for people who are dating someone who, if you and your girl both start the business at the same time, that can usually work out. But if you have the business before she comes on and he comes on, and then you're trying to talk to him, usually it doesn't work out well. It just doesn't work well. What is BTDT? I don't know. Is that R2D2? Mr. Sachs, same deal with my GF who got me for a customer return, and she sells shit on the internet. That's crazy. Purpose Fit went to a business with a family member. I kind of regret it. They are an entrepreneur who likes to plan, makes lists, and talk about businesses who won't go out and get leads, and we live together. That's a rough one. Unfortunately, family and some friends are far from supportive. And this kind of goes back, Monica, into the tribalism. This thing that you're taught in schools and the tribalisms with parents and things, it wasn't an environment designed to make you successful as a business owner. That's why so many smart people fail, because when you start a business, you think you're just walking into the business, right? And you're just starting, no. Your mom is walking into the business with you mentally, your dad, your friends, your family, society, your religion. This is why Muslims, Jewish people, and some other groups of folks who have religions that preach hard work and success, not prosperity, but there's a reason that a lot of Jews have money. I mean, a religion, if they're going to be orthodox about it, there's a lot of work in being a Jew. So they have a lot of good habits that go into being a good person in their religion that work very well in building businesses. It's really, it's just amazing. Mike Page, the system is not designed to produce business owners. There's a system that's already in place for you to learn that criteria, their criteria, produce workers. D. Wilson, my sister owns a business and a couple of homes. So do you consider it's good to talk to her about business and money? My other family members are working low-wage jobs or not working at all. It kind of depends, because I don't know your sister, but I'm going to throw something out there. I may be 100% wrong. It sounds like your sister is, quote, the most successful financial person in the family. And with that comes a certain level of pride, expectation. So she may be cool to talk to. She may not want to help you. I just don't know. Naso, don't fuck on a job. Only some family members will attack you for being successful because they're not. They've been there, done that, the baggage of environment and dogma. Yeah, the tribalism is really, really big. So this is why you have people who are, quote, smart, right, who are poor. Now, let me get back to the other core, because I kind of got off track a little bit. If you are smart based upon system requirements, then you can't make it out here in the real world. you're really not as smart as you think you are. Like going back to the IQ thing. Okay, an IQ is the standardized test, and you'll see many people like take idiot savants. An idiot savant is a person who may be autistic or have some other type of social disability, but they may be really good at math or something. They just have this special where it's like genius level in that aspect. So if you are good enough to become a genius or join Mensa because you could take a test and you can pass that test, but when you come out here in the real world and you can't perform, you're not really that smart. Now let's go back to Bill Gates, Steve Jobs, even Zuckerberg. All of these guys are really, really academically smart, but they're also incredibly clever. They're smart, there's genius, clever. Now, who do we call clever? People who can get results. Clever fox, the clever dog. These are folks who have been able to problem solve on the spot and make a change or get results. So from a social standpoint, it sounds good to be smart or to be a genius, but the reality is you want to be clever. Okay, I'm gonna give you some examples. And this is one of my friends, we talk about this quite a bit. During my retirement, we'll call it my retirement, the early days of the storage auction craze, I really didn't work that much. I really didn't. I mean, I wake up and I have 2-3 grand in my merchant account. This went on for a few years. So kind of like I said, I got kind of a little bored. So I started playing around with stuff and I started running experiments. And one of them was the Craigslist marketing thing, which I had used to sell physical products. I took that and I played around with it for 3 months. 3 months of not getting the results that I wanted, but I was able to figure out messaging. It was really like I taught myself copy writing, because that's what it was. Copywriting is writing this designed to produce a desired result. You know, if you just write some copy and it doesn't produce any results, it's bad copy. If you write copy and it produces the desired result, it's good copy. So I hit upon a methodology and a sequence. The sequence is very, very important, that I was getting all kinds of gains. I was getting gains out the ass, right? A lot of gains. And that came because of being clever, not so much smart. Being clever, and clever is about action. When someone's called clever, there's usually an action component to it. Let's see. James Scott, guitar, the strength that comes from being surrounded by successful people too. Yeah, because see, I'll give you an example. I was having lunch at this restaurant. It's pretty expensive, and I'm not just saying like, ooh, I go to expensive restaurants, but typically people who don't mind spending a lot of money for food go to restaurants like this. And I was just sitting there talking to this guy, and I was just saying what I was doing, just talking. And then this guy is a builder. So next thing you know, he hands me his card. We're talking this stuff. And not once did I get that elitist thing, or you think you're built, you feel better. And whenever I'm in the company of other people who have accomplished certain things they want in their life, and I just start talking, it's usually, wow, that's really good. And we start sharing stories. But when I get around somebody who isn't successful the way that they want to be, you're bragging, you're being elitist, you're trying to talk bad about these people, you think you're better than other folks. And I've just learned that when you're around certain people, and if you've got people who have done really well in their lives, in your family, go up to them and say, look, I want to ask you a question. No judgment or anything. But do you find it a struggle that when you talk about your accomplishments, that people hate you, and you'll watch your eyes light up? Because this is common. Why? Most of the people in this country are poor. 70% of the people who are born poor will stay poor until they die. The numbers, men lie, women lie, numbers don't lie. 77% of the people in this country don't make 50 G's a year, which is not a lot of money. Now, if you were in a small town like Kokomo, Indiana, that might get you flowing, maybe, I don't know. But if you look at the system, it is set up in so many different ways for you to not win. Monica, how do we change the mindset of our children? We try to be an example for them now. What else can we do? That's it. Be an example. And also, this is something else with kids. Your kids are going to be a product of you, but they're also going to be a product of their friends who they hang around with. Their friends are going to be heavy influences on them, whether you like it or not. So this kind of goes back to the fake ass middle class. What I talked about in that video was creating an environment like, okay, I live Chastain Park, right? And I noticed the kids around here are very different. They all have cars, and so I don't know some of the things. Some of the parents like make their kids do certain things so they can get their cell phone, but they're in an environment where their kids are very. They'll meet a kid in the neighborhood, and the kid's very similar. And then there's some cute groups of there's some kids around here. The parents are ultra rich. They're uber rich. Then you got those groups, and that's a whole nother class right there. But most of them, their parents do really well. They're going to have different conversations. So environment, hands down, is the biggest predictor of success. And I know if someone's going to throw, damn, what was that movie with Will Smith? And I forget. Someone's going to throw that out. Can someone go from abject poverty and become uber rich? Yes, it happens. Is that the norm? Fuck no. It's called atypical. And what many people like to do is use an atypical example and contrast it as if it's a norm when it's not. Someone going from, brutal poverty to just middle class is a very long journey. And here's the thing. There's so many ways that they can get there and pop back out. It doesn't take much. D. Wilson, she's very successful. They hate her. She doesn't deal with them. Thanks for answering my question. I'm telling you, here's another thing too. If you are, quote, the most successful one in the family, there is a unspoken expectation, in some cases it's spoken, that you should use your money to help everybody in the family. And if you do not, you are selfish. You don't understand family, and there's something wrong with you. So there, you've got that too. That's another reason folks with money don't say shit. Rules for it seems like many successful people struggle in school or employment because they aren't doing things their own way. Yeah, that happens. Let's see, Mike. Whoa. Wait a minute. Let's see. Can you explain tribalism? Really don't understand the context in which you use the word. Okay, here's tribalism. Tribalism 101. Years ago, Ellis Island, Irish people came across the water, and when they settled in the Northeast, they can only do certain jobs. That's why you have a lot of Irish people who are firefighters or policemen. You'll see mechanically, there's a reason. They could only do those jobs. Then when they started to do those jobs and they started to climb the ranks of success, they started to actually be successful. The thing that they can only do became the thing that they wanted to do, and they were held in high esteem. So tribalism is, your name's McConnell, your father was a grandfather, your grandfather was a fireman, your father was a fireman, you're going to be a fireman. That's what we do. That's tribalism. It becomes that even though you are able to do other things, tribalism dictates that this is what you should do. And let's go on to even another thing. It's like, a lot of Jewish kids or Asian kids, you're going to be a doctor. That's tribalism. It's like what you should be, not what you could be, but what you should be. Yeah, we're going to talk about starting businesses, not flipping cars. Rules for Rebels. I struggle with copywriting. Do you have a course, any books you recommend? I recommend that this is what helped me. Find something that you really, really like and start creating copy for that, because this is where a lot of people, in my estimation, go wrong. They'll go out and they'll start trying to do writing copy for shit they don't care about. Some people have the ability to do that. Many people don't. What helped me was I was very much interested in the topic. I wrote every day, and I got results. So find something that you like. Then once you get those skill sets, then transfer them to your business. That's just what I did. I don't have any books because I said in a group, and it got me in a lot of trouble that, because people were talking about copywriting and stuff. And I said, well, my writing has gotten me pussy, money, and fame. What has your writing gotten you? And that's true. My first example was I wrote this poem years and years ago. This girl from DC got on a plane and came down here to bless me with some because of that poem. That's my first successful copywriting convert. So, that's one of the things. All kinds of gains. I'm telling you. Paul Stevens, Zuckerberg, Jobs, Gates, all took their people's successful working functional ideas and ran with them. Yeah, Zuckerberg stole an idea for Facebook. I mean, that's documented. That's documented. But see, that still doesn't take, well, that kind of goes back to the clever thing. You could be really smart. You could be a person who could look at a chalkboard full of mathematical equations, right? You could be, quote, the brain, the scientist, the researcher. You could get that Nobel Peace Prize, right? Then here's this other guy who's named Hammy, who he understands enough of it, but he's like, well, if we take those mathematical equations and we create this product, then he builds this conglomerate. Then you've got the scientist who really created it, but the scientist wasn't clever. The scientist was smart. Clever people take action. Smart people bask in their own intelligence. Focus and adaptability are smarts. Forrest said it best. Stupid is as stupid does. Oh yeah, I mean, he stole the ideal. I mean, there's no doubt about it. I've said that on Facebook many times. Jobs got the original Apple computer from Xerox. Bill Gates got the software for free for some people who didn't want to use it. Yep. It's called Buckhead. James got to get to our education systems teaches working for others, facilitating, not creating value. Yes. Now, here's another thing that happens. You'll see someone who's a kid, right? Who grows up in a very good environment. Because this is one of the things that I started to do. When someone shows me someone that's been successful, I will look at them and then I will start doing research in how did they grow up? Like the other day, I mentioned this girl who was creating these iPhone cases, right? Well, both her parents are doctors. I mean, you keep seeing this over and over and over and over again. The environments are just so important. In pursuit to happiness. I knew someone was going to put that in there. Let's see. Guilt. Too many people fear failure. D. Wilson, that's exactly what they said. I'm telling you, man, is most of the people in this country have been trained a certain way. So there are more of them than there are people who start businesses, people who take charge of their life. That's why it's so easy for you to become an internet guru, because so many people will not take action. Mr. Stacks, that's the thing with broke Americans. Hate on the immigrants' way of life, and someone is successful, they want them to mail home money. And Jubrin, why does the world work on use get used system? I just want to be kind to people in my life, but I keep getting screwed over. I'm smart and see they think that they don't get what when they fool me. All right, and I'm going to give you this this thing that a lot of no one's probably ever told you. As evolved as we pretend to be, we're still very much animals, and we live in a world of pimp or be pimped, meaning either you're going to create something and use people through employment or something, or you're going to be employed by other people and used to facilitate their dreams. There is no middle ground, not yet. Maybe in the future, because we're just not going to have enough jobs for everybody. So there may be something like some government stipend. But right now, either you're going to be a builder or you're going to contribute in the dreams or the process or the system of the builder. That's it. That there is no middle ground. And for people who want to help other people, for folks who care deeply about other people, this is a hard thing to accept, because you think, I'm a nice person, I'm going to do what I need to do, I'm not going to bother anybody, I'm not going to manipulate anybody, yet you keep finding yourself on the short end of the stick, because that's just how we are as humans. A good friend once told me, and this is actually in the 48 Laws of Power, never play to people's kindness, play to their self-interest. And whenever you play to someone's self-interest, you're going to win. You know, people say it's manipulation, but that always works. Very few people are just going to do the right thing for the reason of doing the right thing. Moonlight at $10,000 to become experts. High IQ. These folks spend time getting book smarts. Doesn't translate into business smart. No. No. Shoe 458. Where can I see your literary excellence? Heard Mark Cuban stole his online broadcasting idea. Let's go ahead with the word. Let's replace stole with action. Like, okay, let's take what happened when I started this YouTube channel. Anybody could have came on YouTube and started a channel about storage auctions. It was wide open. I was the only one that did it. And then after it became popular, other folks jumped in, and I started hearing stuff, because if you notice, I didn't really network with any other storage auction people. Because I thought they were full of shit. And I often said that. And so that got me a lot of hate. But the reality is, if you're clever, I'm going to give you a few things. There is depository smarts, where you can be a genius and pass an IQ test. There's clever, and then there is depository smarts, there's clever, and then there's the motherfucker factor. And Jobs has the motherfucker factor. Gates has the motherfucker factor. Prince had the motherfucker factor. When you can be smart and execute at a high level, even though you know people are going to hate you, the things that you can accomplish are ridiculous. Let's see. Zuckerberg saw the chair to stand on versus sit in. Amen, Stanley. Thanks. Outstanding topic. Leroy gesturing. School gave me paralysis analysis. It took me 2 failed side hustles that got me out of that mindset. Hands, pimp or get pimped. I mean, for someone who's all right, we're going to take some, since most of the guys people that watch this channel are men. Nice guys finish last. How many times have you seen a guy who is a deplorable asshole get the chick you wanted, and she knows he's an asshole? How many times have you seen that? I mean, it's just a reality. Purpose fits. How do you build an exclusive brand, a brand where you turn away wrong customers like luxury brands? Price separates a lot of people very quickly. James Scott's giving Ann some things. What's up, Patches? Yeah, play their self-interest. I mean, just doing the right thing for the right thing. And dude, I feel like a terrorist when I use intimidation, but I guess getting a feel for it would help. That's true. Hate is an easier emotional rise to understanding. I mean, this is the whole thing, is because, I've been creating courses and stuff since 2010, and I analyze why some people are not successful. I analyze why certain courses don't do well. And there's a thing of messaging, because here's a little secret, and I'm not supposed to say this being an internet marketer, but when you create an online course or you create an online book, 75% of the people who purchase this, regardless of the price, will not complete the work. And seriously, it's a high number who will not crack open that book, who will not start the course. It is a very high number. And part of that is fear, failure, what comes next. There's so many things that go into it. So when you begin to understand how people operate, and you're putting together courses and trying to be a leader, because a lot of people hate Ty Lopez, right? Ty Lopez has figured out the psychology of his group like nobody else on the planet. And many people are like, he's a scammer, he's this, he spent like 20 million. Whenever someone says that, like, yeah, he spent $20 million on ads. Here's the thing about spending $20 million on ads. If those ads don't convert, you can't keep spending. So they clearly converted. And that's just something that many people don't want to give the dude credit where credit is due, because they don't like his business model, because they feel that it's, quote, predatory. And this is what's funny. I've seen many people question it, and I've seen his students go in and say, well, I took the course and I got results. And then I've seen these people beat them up because they're like, no, you're stupid. This isn't supposed to work. You're being taken advantage of. And the guy's like, no, I paid I took the 67 steps and I like it. And it really, no, you're stupid. Because hate, as Diana put, is a much easier emotion. Price separates the weak from the obsolete. I like that. I can't pinpoint who invented the gyro technology, the drone, two-wheeler rider, what type of thing, and is the future. I mean, typically, this is the thing. The guy who invents that stuff isn't the one that makes the millions or the billions. It's the clever guy in the equation. James, crazy statistic. I have only 2 guitar courses that I launched over 2 months ago, and the people taking it have only completed 5% of the course so far. Yep. It's a lot of people just will not do it. I don't care what, I'll tell you a story. I had a girl who spent $6,000 with me to do some training for video marketing. We did about 20%. She dipped. I don't want a refund. I'm not going to do this anymore. I'm telling you, this is another thing. This is a really, really good point. Many people think when they start a business, there's so many things are going to happen. Well, once you get into it, you'll learn stuff. Because see, this is one of the reasons that I'm the asshole in the Facebook group, because I know a lot of people are talking bullshit because they're not saying things that they've experienced. They were saying things that they hope to experience. When you experience these things, you'll find out like, well, wow, that's not really as bad as I thought. Joshua, he knows how to draw people in. That's a fact. I mean, it is. Do you know your life's purpose? Stop it. Stop it. Just stop it. Oh, let's see. Thank you for this fantastic live stream series. No problem. Stop talking about me. I will start that course when I grow a pair. And they spent good money on the courses. Yeah, I mean, regardless. It's not even time management. People are not self-starters. This goes into the tribalism. This goes into why smart people aren't successful. This is what I've learned. First thing is you have to have what I call working intelligence. You don't have to be a genius. You just have to be smart enough to figure out that if you put the key in the lock and turn it, it'll open up the lock. Okay, that's operational intelligence. Then 2, you have to be clever. You kind of have to be able to look at a situation. Like there's some people who are emotional geniuses. These are your pimps. These are your natural salespeople. These folks have an intuitive understanding of human psychology. They don't know why they're good at it. They're just good at it because it's like some people are born smarter than other people. Some people are born taller than other folks. Some people are born with genes where they can eat pizza every day and never get fat. Everybody gets different stuff. But people who are really smart emotionally can literally rule the world. And that's just something that's not taught. So you get these people who go in and take these courses and they may be depository smart, but they're not clever. Or they may be clever, but they're not depository smart. There's so much that goes on into this. Let's see. I know many people who fail at business. Most try to keep it up with the Joneses to start a business at the same time. That typically never works. Your best deal is to, go broke, essentially cut all your living expenses, live as lean as possible, and then build your business and build the asset. Policy, what's the most successful literary genre on Amazon? Romance. It is now, it was last year, it'll be next year, it'll be in the future. Most books that are put out are read by women. So any book genre that caters to women or kids in high school who have a lot of time will do well. Here in my garage, stop it, man, stop it. Josh Barr, as a kid, I was selling candy. The school security stopped me. 15 later, I'm a reseller. Instead of encouraging entrepreneurship, they suppressed it. D. Wilson, working intelligence, emotional intelligence. It's really, really big. King Flip, he's back. People not being self-starters. That's why the self-help success business is going to boom like the fish. It is. It's booming already. Con men, yeah. I mean, part of the thing, and you'll have some people who use their powers for good, but once again, and this is something that was really, really hard for me, and I've tested this over the years. I could put on an article on my Facebook page that is helpful, it's just good stuff, and not too many people will read it. Then I can put up an article titled 18 Pimps Slap 6 Hoes. Oh man, that's outrageous. Hate, angry face, all this stuff. People like that stuff, man. It's just, it is rough. Purpose Pit, advice for being taken seriously if you look younger than your age. Be successful. Success changes everything. Collapse. I've seen many less smart people who work their asses off are the ones who get ahead, while smart ones keep thinking and taking no action. This is how you have someone with a PhD who's living with their parents. What's up, David? Uncle Sam enhances your emotional intelligence. Paul Stevens, so true about chicks. I've not only seen absolute pigs get delightful, beautiful women, but I've seen those women stay with these louts and be destroyed. Hindbrain. Yes, so the people who sold Tootsie Rolls back in high school had $100 a week. My fuckery channel is booming on YouTube. One thing with that, those channels, they're going to probably have a big problem in the future. YouTube's changed some stuff. Shoe 458, I'm 23. I can't get over the tribalism mindset. For people who have tribalism issues, these are a few recommendations. Get the fuck out of your town, move away, force yourself to move somewhere and create new friends and open yourself up as a person. I left home at 18, did not go back. One of the best things ever. Joshua, do you think YouTube is still? Yes. People love BS. They love it. So it gets into it. So this is one of the big things that happens with people, because you'll think you'll go in there and you'll say to yourself, I am really smart. I should be able to do this. And then you'll go do it. And then there's something that's missing. No one told you that was missing. And then you get butt hurt or destroyed or just like, fuck it, I'm not going to do this anymore. I see that. So here are the steps. You got to be, like I said, you got to have working intelligence. You got to be clever. You need to have some discipline. If you have those three things, you can make a lot of money. I'm not going to say you'll be a billionaire, but yeah, you can hit millionaire status. You can hit that, because the thing is, once you start to get this working intelligence and you realize, because I'm in groups and, you know, I've said this before, and I have people who will fight with me. And when they're fighting with me, there's this one guy, if you build relationships and you create value, you get people who will buy from you over and over and over again. And anybody that knows anything about businesses knows the cost of acquiring customers is real high. So if you can acquire a customer and provide value and service and make money over a period of years, it's just a crazy metric. I had people fight with me like, well, everyone doesn't want a relationship. And there was two people fighting. The other day I saw a post by one of the chicks, and she's using the free plan. Why are you using the free plan? If you use the free plan, you can't use your own domain name. So when I see people using the free plan and talking about this stuff, they ain't making that much money. And I was just like, I knew it. What's up, Tom Rosenberg? Right back at you. Purposes. Thanks, Glenn. My brand is cleaning more popular online, and the exes are noticing. Two contacted me this week to congratulate me, having spoken with either over a year. Oh yeah, that happens too. Wild L23. I would not say school is geared towards the slowest students or whatever you said. It was the truth. Everybody would get straight A's. Oh, really? I'll take your challenge. Boom. When teachers and school system create curriculum, they gear it toward the slowest student because, or the most common students, because if they didn't, most people would fail. That's how curriculums are designed. Curriculums are designed for general populations. They're not specific. That's why people with money have always put their kids in private school. I went to a private school. I went to a Catholic high school. It was totally different from my regular high school. They just, because here's a few things. If you were a problem kid, they would kick you out and keep your tuition. And the classes were smaller. The teachers cared more. So this, anyone, you know, and do this, look up how educational curriculums are created and ask yourself this. If what you say, if these things weren't geared for the slowest student, why is we as a country that spend more money per student have some of the worst students in the world? These are facts. Look them up, look them up, look them up. Code Labs, how to be more disciplined. Take it one day at a time. Find something that you need more discipline in and just set up that I'm going to spend 5, 15, 20 minutes a day doing this and just keep pushing. Because the thing is, you have to turn whatever you want to do into a habit. Like when I started doing these live streams, I didn't want to do them, but YouTube being what it is, knowing how it works, you know, I had to change whatever was wrong with my channel, and this did it. I started off doing them. I didn't have a time. You know, people were just saying, hey, you know, put me on the email list. I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna keep doing this. And once I got in the habit, now it's a habit. It's very easy because if you notice it's done pretty much around the same time. It's a habit. That's how you get discipline. You turn it into a habit. You don't try to white knuckle it or brute force it. Turn it into a habit. Thanks, D. How about charter schools? It depends on who runs the charter schools. Some charter schools are no better than a regular school. They just get more resources. James, 80-20 rule. Regards to school and life, that book has been a game changer for me. Code, the school system was designed to produce worker slaves. If you would look at the early formation of how schools were created, there's a reason that you change class. When you go to a Montessori school or something, you don't change class like that. Why do you change your class? That's shift work. Earl Nightingale points us out in The Strangest Secret. Never watched it on YouTube. Does romance include erotica? Yep. Never broke Asher Pack. Went to private school from kindergarten to 6th grade. Got to public school in the 7th grade. Made straight A's and student of the year. It's different, man. Okay, wow. I gotta see what you're saying. I think you mean it's geared towards the average person, but I agree with you. Thanks for the tips, by the way. Did not realize this was live. Oh yeah, this is live right now. It'll be recorded later. The average person, and that's something else. You know, the average person is created. Because if they weren't created, you couldn't manipulate it. But that's a whole nother stream. Josh Hill tried the Christian private school once around 6 years old. Hated they beat us with rulers. Yeah, they will touch you. King Flip, yeah, I was smart time at the private school. See, I love this confirmation because I went there. Now, I was a nerdy little kid and I was in honors English, honors literature. So when I went now in the honors classes, they were kind of designed like the private school. So it wasn't a shock, but it was still a shock because everybody in my class was fucking smart. I mean, not like, remember the Rubik's Cube? You know, when that shit came out, I was in school. We had people in there playing, you know, there was just two guys, right? They were playing who could solve it the fastest. Not who can solve it, who can solve it the fastest. And every day they get faster. These are the games that they play. And another thing is with private school, typically you develop relationships with people who are already in positions to do things for you. That's another thing that I saw immediately. The U.S. education system was based on the Prussian system back in the 1800s, designed to produce adequate workers for the Industrial Revolution. Yeah, I mean, it was to make you a better worker. It wasn't to make you smart. It wasn't to make you wealthy. It wasn't to make you happy. It was to put you in a situation where you could be used. Can I become a doctor and a businessman at the same time while in school? Many doctors do that. Edwards, depends on the neighborhood you live in. Some public schools in wealthy areas are like private schools. That's debatable. That's debatable because if all private schools are not created equal, but to give you an example of Bill Gates went to a private school, and one of the things he learned in school was transcendental meditation. Please show me some public schools who are investing in transcendental meditation, which has scientifically been proven to lower your blood pressure, lower your stress rate, increase your memory, and so many things. That's what he learned in the 70s in high school, his private school. I don't see that happening in a public school anywhere. There's just too many damn politics. When parents are sinking $30K a year into their child's education, there will be a difference. Let's see. We're putting our kid in Montessori school. Those 2-year-olds don't move, so focused on tasks. I thought they were mannequins. It's just different because, see, the thing is how you're groomed. Another thing with public schools is your kids are exposed to kids who have bad habits. If you got kids and you go to a private school, and as you're touring the facilities, you'll notice that they don't have the behavior problems that public schools do. If a kid's acting up, they will get rid of that kid. There is no, hey, we're going to work it out, or no, you're gone. That's in the rules and everything. Yeah, we're talking about why it's so hard to start a successful business. A lot of you guys who are hitting me up with these other questions, I'm ignoring you because you're trying to change the topic here, because this is, as I can see, and a lot of people have a lot of input on this. This is pretty big. And for those of you who are interested in that type of stuff, be sure to go below and get the Never Broke Action Pack. What I'm going to do off of this course that I'm going to start in 2017, which ain't that really far away, I'm going to give you $450 off that course. It will be very expensive, but it will be very fucking effective. If a student does not have the IQ, do you think money will make a difference? Like, can I understand rocket science now? I'm going to say yeah. I'm going to say yeah, because see, here's the thing. How can I say this? You notice how kids who are not super attractive, but their parents have money, and it's just money helps with everything. Maybe you have a girl or a guy who's somewhat plain, but their parents go ahead and get their teeth fixed, and then they get the best skincare, and they have the right hairstyle, and all of a sudden they're like, wow, they're attractive. Same thing with intelligence. If you have, what you call a guy who graduates medical school with a C average? Doctor. I mean, yeah, it helps, because let's say you have someone who doesn't grasp. I'm not really big on the IQ thing. I'm big on function. So let's say you have this kid who immediately grasps concepts, and you don't have to give him that much help. But say you have kid B who, with the right training and with the right teaching, can also grasp and execute and utilize those concepts, except it takes him a little longer extra training. That's the difference between money. There's a lot of people, we as Americans are just fascinated by innate ability. Someone who's just smart and all the stuff, which is, oh yeah. I am fascinated by people who work their asses off, because through hard work, application, and diligence, you can literally change your life. You could change your income. You could change your love life. You could change anything if you will work for it. And a lot of people just don't want to work for it. Environments in school greatly matter. James, guitar, foster curiosity, and investigation. These two things I see among schools, big game changers, big time. Meditation is the reason that I was able to do as much as I do. Sassy Moxie went to private school from 2nd to 12th. The difference is you're taught critical thinking. You're asked why you think the way you're thinking. They don't have that. They don't have time for that in regular school. Tribalism, Dead by Meditation and Emotional Intelligence by Daniel Goldman or Gold. Yep. Elon Musk taught himself rocket science. Oh, James Harmon. Everyone knows what the Segway is, that scooter where people just get on it and just kind of lean and it goes this way. That guy didn't have a degree. He taught himself how to build that thing. His name is Harmon. Dean Harmon. Dean Carmen, I believe. I'll look it up in a second. Even in the wealthy area, government schools can't compete. The wealthy send kids to elite schools for an education and a connection of the kids to other wealthy people for future business connections. Okay, like where I live, there's several private schools, and the public school around here is pretty nice, but these kids around here, they don't go to that public school. They don't go to the high school. They all go to private school. There is International Harvest. There's not Pope. Damn, what the name? Hold on a second. Actually, let me get in here. There's a bunch of them around here. I mean, a bunch. Let's see, what do we have? We got Primrose, Atlanta, Jewish Academy, Mount Vernon Presbyterian. There's several Jewish schools around here. There's a Jewish Academy, there's SAS. I mean, literally like 5 miles. There's a ton. I can't think of the other ones. There's another one on West Paces. Let's see. Let's look at they got a guide point. We have the Atlanta Country Day School, Atlanta Girls School, Atlanta International School, Atlanta Speech School, Blessed Trinity School, Brandon Hall, Cornerstone Christian Academy, College School. All of these schools are within 10 square miles. Now, the income is high between Dunwoody, Sandy Springs, North Buckhead, so I could see it. Holy Innocents, that's the one, because that's a big one. Love It, Marist, that's been around for a long time. Pace Academy, Padea School. There's all kinds of stuff around here. It's ridiculous. Let's see. Public schools. So if they graduate med school, even if they had the lowest average, they really are doctors. A C student was the president of the United States, man. A man with one of the highest IQs in the country was stuck working as a janitor because he couldn't get along with people. Yep, Dean Carmen. My husband is spending $2,100 a month on our kids' elementary school education. Once again, I believe education from being an infant up to 10 or 12 is more critical than college education, because you essentially learn how to learn. And once you learn how to learn, reading comprehension, all this other stuff, these are things that will carry you through the rest of your life. Wow, the L23, right? A C student in middle school is an A student in college. I know, right? Because I've been in med school before, not done yet. Those kids will blow you away, man. Cali 1115, I disagree with private school being better than public school. I attended one of the best private schools in the country that did not teach me critical thinking. Well, I said earlier that all private schools were not created equal. And there are schools where they will essentially blow you away. So we could just disagree because I don't really know what your private school, because this is something else too. Who says they're the best private school in the country? Did they say it, or did 4, 5, 6, 7 other third parties say it? Let's see. Private schools are more for connection than education, put too much emphasis on money. Many wealthy people are dumb as doorknobs, but there are social connectors. Once again, environment. I did this to fake ass middle class. Let's take someone who's wealthy, who's dumb. Let's just say they're dumb. This person is going to start off in life where most people will never attain. Plus, there are some schools, though there's an international school. Essentially, there's this international curriculum where a kid can go to school here and go to a sister school in Japan, and they're getting the same education. Those schools are not even close to what's going on in public school. They are light years ahead. I've seen those kids. Callie, did you go to a religious school with some kind of indoctrination? There's this misconception that Northeastern school systems are far superior than small school cities. What do you mean? I don't get it. In the South. I don't know. I don't know about that. Let's see. Schools in South America tend to better than U.S. public schools put together. Could be because a lot of these kids learn 3 and 4 languages in school. Could be. Education is not an institutional advantage. David Boyd, Gerald Ford was so dumb. LBG said he couldn't chew gum and fart, but he was likable and just smart enough to be in position to be president. You don't have to be intelligent, just smart enough. You attended a religious school. Probably had a lot to do with it. There's some private schools that have no religious connection, or they kind of dampen it. Irvin's funny. Heading to work, about to clock in at the plantation. That's funny. But I mean, just kind of give you some guidelines and stuff why people are struggling to start businesses. I mean, the whole system in the game was just essentially rigged against you from jump. I mean, it's tribalism, shoe 458. That's one of the things. So this is why, you know, the tagline around here used to be where your real education begins. That came because of where my real education began. I think I grew as a human much more from 32 to 50 than I did from 1 to 32. I started exposing myself to a lot of stuff. I opened myself up to a lot of things. I started hanging out with a different group of people. I started talking about different concepts. And hands down, that was one of the reasons that I was able to move myself into the position of owning a business and also being successful, because, you know, I've said it many times before. I had 5 businesses that completely failed. I'm the same guy. The only thing difference is my knowledge base. I'm the same person. My IQ didn't go up. It's just I learned what I didn't know and I was able to apply it. And it's really that simple, because one of the things that, you know, we're going to do in this e-commerce course is talk about audience. You know, everyone talks about the product. It's not the product, it's the audience. And there's going to be a lot of stuff that's going to go down. Tommy, yo, dude, like what you're doing, but not into talking about schools today. This is part of the reason that people aren't successful, their environments and their education. Let's see, we'll talk about that later because I'm going to shut this down. So just for those of you who are still here, be sure to get the Never Broke Action Pack. Now, why is that important? I fully expect the people who are going to take this e-commerce course to make a lot of money. So you need to manage your money. You need to fix your credit or make your credit even better and start getting yourself in a money mindset. So when you make big money, it'll fulfill you, it'll go further, and it'll create a legacy for your family. So everyone who gets the Never Broke Action Pack, you're going to get $450 off of the new e-commerce course that is coming. So with that, be sure to like, share this video with people you care about, and comment when the video renders. And with that, I'm out.